have to.
Okay.
At ease.
It gives your best military
Yeah.
voice.
Welcome to our regular scheduled board meeting for Pocahontas School District. We're now in session. I'm turning it over to Dr. Arbuckle.
Okay. The first couple of things that we have, this is a little mixed up. So we're going to go ahead and start with our recognitions. So we're going to recognize, periodically we try to recognize our student groups for their accomplishments. And in the fall semester, as most of you know, because that's what you're here for, the band made the state competition and competed there. And so we wanted to recognize the band as a whole for their contributions to Pocahontas School District and for representing Pocahontas High School very well at both locally. I mean, we know that marching band is a lot of work, right? I mean, you guys are out there working real hard all fall. Late nights, a lot of organization, and so we just really appreciate everything you do to represent the school district, to support your fellow students, and we just wanted to take time this afternoon or this evening to honor that work and recognize that work. So if I could have the band directors, yes, give them a round of applause. I'm going to give those to you. Do you want to we'll gather up as many people as we can?
Yes.
And we'll just take a picture real quick.
All my band kids.
On the day in front center, buddy.
Buddy, what are you talking about?
Hey, tune in, act like you like each other. And call people go ahead and get yeah, get the back bar. You're covering me up.
All right, excellent. Thank you all. Okay, I need Clayton Murray. Where's Clayton? So we are also recognizing Clayton this evening. My understanding is you're a sophomore, correct?
Yes.
And he made all-state band, which is a big deal, but I think it's an even bigger deal for a sophomore. So congratulations. Okay, you guys are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like, but you don't have to, and you're welcome to leave. Okay, so thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you all for doing this real quickly.
I appreciate it. And thank you for handing out the certificates, right? That's the hard part.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
It's bound to get quieter.
I know, right? That's okay. Okay. We will go ahead and move on. First item of our of business is the approval of the minutes. So you have the minutes for the regular January meeting as well as the work session on February 3rd. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to address those or make any changes that you see needs to be made. If there are no questions or no changes, then we would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes and the work session. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Make that change, okay. All right. We also have our monthly presentation on student achievement. So you have in your packet. I just thought we'd take a little time to talk about the. So what happens with our this is our Atlas test score, and just to give you a quick rundown on sort of the context. Earlier in the school year, we got our percent proficient for each of our grade levels. And about I'd say a couple of weeks ago, we got our average growth for English, math, science. Of course, the math includes algebra and geometry. The science includes biology. And what I've included there for you in your packet is a look at our growth scores. And the growth scores that are in the default black, those are positive test score or positive growth scores. So those are scores where entire bands of kiddos. So if we're looking at ELA, third grade ELA there, you see a growth score of 0.0612. What that means is that in a year, students are supposed to grow one grade level. Okay? So if all things were equal and a student was growing the amount that they were supposed to grow, that would be a 0. Okay? The fact that that growth score is above 0 means that kids, our teachers with our kiddos are making more than a year's worth of gain for those kiddos. So the closer to 1 it is, the larger the growth, the closer to from 0 to -1, you can have negative growth. Okay, so you will see some of where it's red there, that's negative growth. So one of the things that I'm really excited to see is that we have growth scores. If you look at our ELA, we have growth scores in all of our grade levels, except for 2. We have 2 that we are continuing to work on. We're going to continue to work on all of them because we want those growth scores to continue to be there, to continue to grow. But we do know that we have a couple of areas in ELA, a couple of areas in math, grade level wise, where you see we still have some work that we need to be doing. I included the percent proficient on the far right-hand column so that you could see this district and then the state of Arkansas next to that. So you can see that we're pretty close in all of our areas, most of our areas, to what the state average is. There are a couple of places where we're a little better than the state average. There's a few more places where we are a couple of percentage points lower than the state average. I think, where we have the most growth, that's going to get us closer and closer to that state average. Here's the way I think of it. Okay, we have a lower percentage than I might like with proficiency, but we can't get kids proficient unless we're growing them. We have to grow them before they can be proficient. And so, you know, I'm
Optimistic.
there you go. That's the word I'm looking for. Especially around ELA because of our work. You know, reading is fundamental. That third grade piece is where it becomes really the next level, right? What we talk about is we're learning to read before third grade, and in third grade we start reading to learn. And so that's why those early grades are so pivotal. Science is still an area that I'm just going to tell you that the entire state needs to kind of work on. That is an area that is a little mysterious because we need to spend so much time on reading and math that it leaves very little time for the science part of it. So that's one thing that we know we have to work on. We have to find ways to embed the science within the ELA, you know, to do that work. But we also need to ensure that first and foremost, we're helping kids build their skills around literacy. Any questions y'all have on the achievement or the growth scores?
Now, what time of year do you do these every spring or every
Yes,
semester?
every spring.
Okay. We're going to see them pretty soon.
The test will be again in April.
Okay.
The state has indicated to us that we'll get the test scores back earlier this year than we did last year. I'm hopeful for a July return. I'd like to see it returned as early as maybe June 1. That'd be really helpful. I just don't know if the state's there yet.
That was the problem last year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't get the test scores.
Like fall, wasn't it?
I was later than that. Yeah. Okay, any other questions on that? All right, then if you're okay, I'm going to move into our next item, which is wanted to just the legal liability renewal. You have in your packet, it's time for us to renew that legal liability insurance. At this point in the year, well, you've got it in your packet there. You'll notice that there, if you remember back to last year, there is no increase in our premium at this point. And so the premium is the same as it was last year. So we are just planning to re-up that same liability insurance and move forward for the next calendar year.
Recommend to approve?
We can't, yes. I've got it as an informational item because it's underneath the 25,000, but if you feel like the board needs to approve it, we can. There is going to be an item later on in the agenda.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
That's
I
okay.
wouldn't pay attention.
There is going to be an item later on in the agenda where it is underneath my approved cap, but I'm going to ask the board to approve it. The liability insurance, unless you think we need to, I'm just going to move forward.
Okay.
That was the,
Sorry.
that's okay.
I didn't read it.
That's okay. Any questions on the liability insurance? Okay, I have two items underneath old business, and the only reason I put them under old business was because we've talked about it before. We've made some decisions. You made some decisions about these before, but a few things have changed, and so item 5.1 is the baseball remodel. You may remember that at our last regular board meeting, the board approved a total cost of $27,330 on remodeling those facilities. As we've gotten into that remodeling, there are a few other items that need to be addressed that would require about a $4,100 increase. And so wanted to bring that to your attention. and ask for you to support that. Just a couple of, you'll notice there in your packet, few items that are causing that additional cost. Is flashing around the air unit at the concession stand, new windows with locking mechanisms for that concession stand. Think that would be a good addition. Putting a vinyl ceiling in the dugouts, some new jams needed on the bathroom doors. We've got some wood that's deteriorating, and then we are asking for I'm asking for a little bit of wiggle room there. So the total cost of these additions is a little bit less than $4,100, but I think that'll give us enough cushion to, if we run into any other issues, where we can go ahead and deal with those and not have to bring it back to the board.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4,100 additional for the baseball field repairs.
So that would bring it, just to point of clarity, that would bring us to a new total cost of $31,500. Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the baseball remodel, making it a balance of $31,500. Everyone in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. The other item for old business is a small change in our financial requirement to the career coaching position. You may remember this is our MOU that we have with BRTC, and the BRTC Finance Office has indicated that there is an additional $264 that needs to be calculated for the retirement contributions on that position. So I am asking that the board approve that updated total of $27,654 according to the MOU.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve this change in the amount we cover the Black River career coach. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, we're moving on to our first action item. You have the monthly financials there in your packet. You also have the three summaries that I typically try to provide to the board. You've got the board report for period 7, that January. You also have a revenue summary as well as the expenditure summary. There's really not anything that is all that different. We still have, we're still awaiting a few reimbursements on the federal side. Obviously, remember those are a month behind because of the way the federal reporting and then the reimbursement from the state happens.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is there any electric utility bills in here anywhere I can find that you know where they're at?
They're going to be in the operating, so they're going to be in the
Group together.
check registry, more than likely. Oof. I made it too big.
There's no total.
I'm looking down through there to see.
Are we on Clay County with everything? Or-
No, we're on
This
Clay
is
County
energy
with
here.
the elementary, and then everything
Even
else
just
is
find me the Clay County bills, I guess. What it is I'm in the middle of putting solar in all my locations, and it's crazy, but it's a 50% REAP grant and a 30% tax credit, and then I get 10% off for using American-made products, so I'm getting 90% back. Now, schools are a little different from what I've understood from the guy that's installing it, but it still comes out to about the same amount of rebate, but it's ran through a different way because it's a government organization. But I mean, you're talking 90% back on the cost of installing it. I don't think we should do it anytime soon, but because I'd like to get a year under my belt before I can see if it's efficient or not.
Well, and it might be something to look at.
But I know
On
the
a-
bills at the elementary school are higher than all of these schools put together, right? That's what I
I'm
understand.
sure it is. Clay County at one point in time, as far as I know, was the highest kilowatt per hour, however they rate that compared to the other.
Okay, so
That's always had an issue too.
Mine's going to pay for itself in 4 to 5 years, so if the school could do a similar return.
page 8 of the check register. About a third of the way from the top, Clay County Electric Company, elementary school, Maine. Last month it was 8,400.
So you're 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's mine's 60,000 a year across all my businesses. It cost me 1.2 million, but I'll end up only having about 200,000 invested in it. So you're proportionally you're probably looking about the same. It may cost 2.5 million to install it, but by the time you get all the rebates, you're only out 300,000.
Right.
And then you're saving 100,000 a year in electric bill.
So are you so the way I understand that, when I had a proposal from, I think it was Entergy who came in, and they were talking about basically either putting solar panels on, for example, on school property, or in essence they would put them somewhere else and then we would lease them from them. What are you
I'm just
doing?
straight buying them, because when you lease them, it's not near as lucrative. It's
Right.
like paying a landlord
Right.
to live in their house.
What are you
So
putting them on, Chad?
they're all in the back of my trust shop, which is 30,000 square foot. So it's the back 15,000 square foot is covering everything in Pocahontas, because I can put them at a different location because Clay County will apply it towards all my locations. So it's covering my American Made store, all my metal shop behind Barton's, my Old County Road, it's covering everything. So, but I want to get a year or two under my belt before I come back to you guys and say it's worth it, because you know how it is. People say it's going to give me this much electricity off my bill.
But until you see the bill.
But until I see the bill, I want to know, because right now, if it comes a $200,000 bill and I'm saving 60,000 a year, that's a straight 3.5 year payoff. That's a very good return.
Yeah.
And electricity is going up every year pretty much in how much, and they have a 30-year shelf life now, the solar panels do. So if we can cut 100,000 out of our budget every year for electricity, or even 80,000, you know what I mean? Because it's not going to completely cut it all out. But just that one school, the elementary school, is 100,000. So if we could cut 80,000 out and have it paid for within 3 or 4 years,
Right.
But there's a lot more research we'd have to do, because the school's not eligible for a REAP grant, but there is other things that are equivalent to it.
Well, and there are I know of some other school districts in the state of Arkansas, because I've talked to some of those superintendents, and a couple of them I know of have been doing it like 8 years. And the conversation that I've had is, before you jump into that, give me a call, because there's some things that they don't tell you, and that you kind of find out on the back.
Another thing you're going to find is, I'm getting one quote, but when they come to a school, they may double that amount, to install it, and that's what's going to mess up the whole equation, So we would have to.
I think we talked about that a few years ago. I think one of the things that was brought up, that the additional personnel you'd have to hire to maintain those.
Yeah, there's supposedly no maintenance. I have to spray them off 3 times a year with dust that collects on them. But you can have one of those.
Where, do you have batteries? Or-
No. The batteries are not efficient enough to store batteries. Yeah. So basically, the solar panels, they generate a lot of electricity when the sun's shining, and you're going to produce way more electricity than the school is using. And so you sell it back to the grid. You sell it back to Clay County Electric. That's where you make your money back. And then when it's not producing, you're having to buy electricity back from Clay County Electric, but it offsets it because you're selling it back most of the time when the sun's out.
What are they saying the return is on there? Are they buying it from you to what they're charging you for it?
No, it's less.
Yeah, of course
But
it is.
supposedly, what happens is when people come and bid somebody a system, they say, I'm going to do your system for $1 million, it'll cover all your electric bill. But they want to be cheaper than the next guy, so they bid it a smaller system. They may bid a 30,000 watt system and not a 40,000 because you need a 40,000 watt system, but they want to be coming under the competition, so they're going to bid you a 30,000. It looks good on paper, but it won't cover your entire electric bill, you know. So I told him when I did it, he's my cousin's husband, and he's been doing it for 10 or 12 years in Joplin, Missouri, and I said, make sure it's big enough to where it covers all my electric, you know, and it won't actually cover up because there's always going to be some Clay County bills and charges in there that don't get covered, you know. But you know, that's the thing. I'm gonna give it a year before I tell you it's worth it. But I think we should be thinking about it.
We're glad you're the
Because-
guinea pig.
Yeah. But you know. So, anyways, that's just something about the. You know, you're talking 100,000 there, 100,000 here.
Right.
You know.
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly financials.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the monthly financials. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Alrighty, you have, the next item in your packet is the calendar for the upcoming school year. The PBC and classified PBC, we looked at 3 different calendar options. You have all 3 of the calendar options in there. And the calendar option that passed unanimously through both certified and classified PBC is option 2. And so if you look at option 2 there, option 2 has teachers coming back on campus with a flex day option on August 6th of 2025. And then there's 4 professional development days. A couple of or I would say the one difference from maybe a calendar that you've seen in the past is if you look at September and February, so September of 25, February of 26, that calendar currently, one of the things that we've talked about in PPC is the current structure of parent-teacher conference does not allow access to all of our parents. When we only do parent-teacher conferences between 3:30 and 6:30, let's say, on a weekday, that means the only parents that can come see us are parents who are not working between the hours of 3:30 and 6:30. So we have a number of parents who are working, for example, a second shift at Pico. They start work at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they don't get off till 11. Well, they can't come see us. They can't participate in their kiddos' parent-teacher conference. And so we started looking at how might we do parent-teacher conferences a little different to make sure that we provide access to all of our parents. And so each of the calendars allowed for that. Calendar 2 allows for that by doing a full day of school. Let's look at September. September 18th would be a full day of school and then 3 hours of parent-teacher conference. We would then come back on Friday and do another day of parent-teacher conference, but we wouldn't start until 9 and we'd run until 3. And so in essence, there's where we have been doing 6 hours of parent-teacher conferences in the fall and 6 hours in the spring for 12 hours, we're now talking about doing 9 hours in the fall and 9 hours in the spring. Now, the only caveat to that, and I told this to PBC, and I'm going to share it with the board in the event that something happens. There are a couple of things going on at the legislative level that may impact this. I have reached out. I've been trying to touch base with DESE for about a week and a half because I do wonder the current structure of calendars is 178 student contact days, 10 professional development days, and 2 parent-teacher conference days. Those 10 professional development days, I'm going to say probably 6 or 8 years ago, the state said, hey, you can use your parent-teacher conference days as work days. And that was when the state changed from needing 60 hours of professional development to 36 hours of professional development, but kept the teacher contracts the same, meaning they had to have 10 professional development days. And to parent-teacher conference days. In essence, this calendar has 3 parent-teacher conference days and 9 PD days. Okay. Now I think that's doable, but I've asked DESE to weigh in on whether or not there is flexibility, which I think there is based on the PD day workday conversation, flexibility to provide more parent contact than the state has allocated. Right? So in essence, the state has said, we're going to ask you to allocate 2 days to communicate to parents. And what we're saying in Pocahontas is we'd like to allocate 3 days to engaging with parents. I think that's doable. I think it's a hard thing to say no to, right, from the state level. And so I'm optimistic that they're going to say yes to that. But I've been working with the co-op to try to touch base with somebody down there. I've been calling myself. I haven't been able to get anybody to answer a phone. So, but all that to say, the PPC's recommendation is option 2. Now, obviously, as a board, you have the final say. So that is just a recommendation. If the board, in looking at those 3 calendar options, sees a calendar that you think we need to talk more about, we can certainly go back to PPC and have that conversation if necessary.
I'd say if everybody's in agreement, and that's your recommendation, I'd say that's what we move forward with.
Yeah, that's the latest. School starting in August, I guess. The second one is starting the latest, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think cutting it into too early in August is an issue, but I'd agree with him.
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar for the 26 school year.
Number 2.
Calendar 2, correct.
Calendar 2, correct.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the calendar option number 2. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, item 6.3, you may remember a couple of months ago we had on the agenda to replace many of our copiers. And so that has been done at this point. In order to dispose of or deal with our old copiers, I'm asking for the board's approval to remove the copiers that are listed from the inventory. That's the next step in being able to address those copiers and get them out of our buildings and keep moving on.
Quite a few new ones. Is there anybody who can benefit from those? Or?
Of these?
Yeah, there's.
Well, that's the idea, right? So what we're going to do is once you approve them coming off of inventory, then I'm going to put them in the sale in March and see if there's any takers on them. And then if whatever's left, then we can dispose of.
You're not talking about the FFA seller.
I am.
Oh, okay.
We could also
Kind of
put
a different crowd there.
I know, but we can also. The idea is we're going to say we're going to tell people they're out there. We're going to, communicate that out. We can also put it in the paper, right? But I can't do that. I can't do any of that until we remove them from inventory.
Yeah, there's 4 that are 2022 models. So yeah.
We are taking. I will say this: we're going to take the best 2 and keep them here because we need some for special ed. So.
The motion is second to take these older copiers off the inventory. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, 6.4 is a resolution for the Northeast Arkansas Co-op. This is a resolution that we need to look at and pass every 2 years. This is for the board to appoint the member of the Pocahontas School District that is going to represent the school district at the monthly co-op board meetings. That has been me. Typically, that has been the superintendent. It can, however, be whoever the board wants it to be.
We like it the way.
Okay, good. That's good. And so that will extend that out until through June of 2027.
Don't need to change it, something to work.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad it's working.
I mean, if the pay is doubled,
Yeah.
So we would just need a motion to approve that.
make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion is second to approve the resolution for the Education Service Cooperative Representative. Everybody in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right, item 6.5 is the East Initiative at the junior high. I want to just talk a little bit about through this, and then if you have any questions, we have Ms. Miller here, and she will share with you whatever it is you feel like you need to know. Basically, I just want to give you some context on what we're trying to do. One of the things that we see the need to provide more elective offerings here at the junior high.
Absolutely.
We don't have enough. We have kids in PE, we have kids in study hall, lots of kids in study hall. We want to try to get in that process. So East is an initiative that multiple schools around the state have been doing it. I've been familiar with East for probably about the last 10 to 15 years. East is in essence a project-based opportunity. It's a STEM-based opportunity, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And the idea is that kiddos, they enroll in these courses and then they really tackle projects and problems in the local community. I tell this story, the most fascinating project I ever saw was here in an Arkansas school, and it was started with two, I believe, seventh or eighth graders, and they were really into football. And they wanted to make football safer. That's the short version. Concussions, when they were doing this, concussions and CTE, that was getting a lot of press at that time. And so these two young men, they decided that they were going to create a device that would be placed in the football helmets of the high school team, and it would measure the force of the hit. And what they were trying to do was they were trying to just, again, make football safer. Fast forward a couple of years, they ended up working with Rydell and designing new components of helmets, right? And like I said, that was right here in Arkansas. And that was a project. Those two young men, I believe they've turned it into an entrepreneurial process over the years. And so it's a really neat opportunity. You can see there in your packet that the value of the grant is about $115,000. That covers all the technology. They're going to cover the equipment. It covers half the professional development. It is one of the reasons we're bringing it to the board is we're asking for the board's approval to add some more electives to the junior high, but two, it is going to require a one-time cost to the district of $25,000 that would be payable this summer, and that'll cover our implementation of East.
Great idea.
So, would this require the hiring of any more faculty to provide these courses?
Well, Ms. Miller and I have talked about that. So, the question is about faculty, and then anything else that you would like to, you can come closer. We don't bite. You don't be on camera.
Give us your spiel.
We have some creative ideas of how we could incorporate that into mostly the schedule that we have now. So the addition should be minimal. We should be able to incorporate it into,
So would you designate one teacher as kind of teaching all
yes.
the coursework?
Yeah.
But every hour wouldn't necessarily be the same kind of class?
Correct. There are certain courses that the students go through, like in September, photography with smartphone, website design, and then you go to October and like at some point, Adobe Lightroom is incorporated in it. So there are courses that they go through each month that introduce them to the different technology so that they're able to implement it, but at the same time, they're going through that project-based model to where they find a problem in the community. It could be something school-related, it could be something community-related, and there's a model that they are taught to go through the process to get to that end result for the impact. One thing that I did want to point out that I think is really great is that this is also, this can be counted towards students' community service hours that they have to get. They have to get CSL hours in order for graduation, and the East Corporation has their own service hours that they can log within their program, and students can use that toward their graduation hours.
How many kids might participate?
I'm hoping that we can load some classes and we can have 4 or 5 classes of between 15 and 20 students.
Do the
I think that
students,
we have the interest from the students, and they're desiring to take different courses. We just have to give them that opportunity and offer it. I think that it's also very appealing because there's so much technology within this, and it's something that we don't have as much of here right now. So it would be an opportunity that some students maybe don't have access to Adobe Lightroom or 3D printing and different things where they would be able to get that, and that could actually help them as they're choosing their pathways as they're getting into going into 9th grade.
And these are skill sets kiddos are going to take with them out into the real world
Right.
as well. I mean, that's
yeah, I'm
the-
looking for an AutoCAD person. I'm gonna have to replace mine who's moving to Minnesota, so now to these students, are you just gonna put out like fillers, say, hey, what would you guys like to sign up for? And then those answers dictate what you offer? Or are you just gonna offer everybody's can pick one, and even though there's one kid per that class, you're still gonna give it?
Well, it's all within the same class. The teacher is the facilitator, and so then.
Oh, so you can teach multiple classes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and so like there are certain components that every student is going to learn within that course, but then there's an opportunity within that for them to create their own projects to where they're able to use whatever it is in their wheelhouse that they're learning to essentially have a product at the end. And this is a great, East has a lot of good PR through it. I know that a lot of times when these projects get picked up, they get put in the newspaper, we put it on our website, we can brag about those types of things. There's also, East has a state competition and conference where the students get to submit their projects, show them off. They have all kinds of things that go along with that. So there are a lot of opportunities through this program. I've personally been in a school who has had East, and I've seen nothing but positive results from it. It's a good program.
So you said approximately 5 periods, up to 20 students per class, so that's 100. What if we have more desire than we have availability? Just get into another staffing
Well, I mean, that's one. I mean, you
Cross
also,
that bridge when we get there, but.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing, because it's not just staffing, right? It's also facilities. Because one, I mean, East is very specific around here's what the facility, here's what the classroom has to look like.
Do we
And
currently
so
have a room that we could?
we do. Ms. Miller has worked with her team and she's already been communicating with the East staff about what that might look like, and we feel like we've got the right spot to do that. And I'm gonna I hope we have that issue, right? I hope we have the problem of needing to find more space and more teacher, because
What I really like about it is being in junior, now what grade are we talking about?
We're talking about 7th, 8th, and 9th because it has course codes all the way up to senior high. So
Yeah.
this is something that could always be a conversation of expansion.
Sure. That's the thing
because-
I'm looking at, if this is junior high now, these kids get into that, and the new high school ultimately gets built. Now we put an East Lab in the new building to
Too, I
continue to
think
expound
for-
upon
For
that.
that age, that 7th, 8th, and 9th, they're looking for something.
Yeah, and it's
So,
just
give them
they're
opportunity
still
to explore.
learning. They're still learning
Yeah.
what they even like. I mean, they
I have
don't
no
even.
idea. Mine's
you
in
know,
8th grade, and I ask his friends all the time what they want to do, and they're like,
I like the real world decisions they have to make. And
Yeah.
I'd say the first one is that intersection at Thomasville and Highway 67 down
hey,
there.
you can
The
put-
sign.
You can put a bug.
Where are you going to
in
put that
some-
sign at? Keep it
Yeah.
from getting run over.
Yeah, yeah, you can put some bugs in their ears and they can, or you just have kids who are like, I think that we should be able to have anything we want for lunch. Okay, well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna go through the steps of looking at what the regulations are for lunch and going through that, and they get to actually go through that process, they get to see the why behind it, and they get to come up with a solution that could potentially make changes to our community.
That's good.
or if nothing else, they realize why it has to be that way.
Yeah, exactly, which is more likely than
Yes.
not, but
As
yes.
a parent, that sounds fantastic.
Do y'all have any other questions for me?
That's great.
I'm really excited about it. I think that it's gonna, I can't wait. They said that when they bring all the technology in, have administrators and board members come up and watch it because it's a whole process. They like to have potential East students come in and help with the actual installation process. And I have not seen that part of it, but I think it's gonna be a really great thing if we can offer that to our students.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you've heard the presentation. At this time, we would ask for a motion to approve the implementation of the East Initiative to be carried out here at the junior high for the next school year.
Make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the implementation of the EAST program for Pocahontas schools. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, 6.6, this is a request, recommendation from Certified PPC. Last year when we redid the sponsor stipends, one of the sponsor stipends that we looked at in there was the junior class. There were two sponsors for the junior class. One was a junior class / prom coordinator, and the other was just a junior class sponsor. And there were differing amounts on those. The longtime prom sponsor is retiring at the end of this year, and so the current, and she's not doing the prom this year. The current prom coordinator has asked that we take a look at that stipend, to combine the stipend and then split it in half. So in essence, what we'd like to do is we'd like to have two junior class prom sponsors. We've always had two junior class sponsors and one prom coordinator. We'd like to have two junior class and prom coordinator, split that into the stipend of $1,125 each, and then call it done. So the cost of that to the district is zero, because all we're doing is taking the existing stipends, which were not the same, combining them, cutting them in half, and making them the same. So I am recommending the approval of that change in the reconfiguration of the stipends.
I make a motion to, for the sponsorship stipend as you presented to be 2 equal stipends.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the prom coordinator having the same dollar amount on both of them. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
They will thank you. All right, item 6.7, this is, we have, I think, 3 more action items. So 6.7 is a security upgrade. The district has been, gotten information that we are getting another safety grant from the state of Arkansas. That safety grant, I believe I've got it in your packet there, is $136,309. One of the things that we would like to do is we would like to outfit the junior high with all new door locks and a few new doors. Some of the doors are not ADA accessible. They're not to code. They need crash bars like some of our already have. And so we have had 3 different organizations come in, provide us quotes. You have all 3 of those quotes for this building. Just a quick pause. This building's locks have not been changed since the building was built. These are the original doors, the original door knobs, all of that. We need to upgrade those door locks. So you have in your packet the quotes. We are recommending that the district use Gould Lock and Doors to replace the locks here at the junior high. You have the quote on that. I believe it's, I think it was $50,000, almost $51,000. So we would, if the board's supportive, we would ask for a.
Rick, you good with these? Are you familiar with these, what these locks are? Are you familiar with what these locks are?
You can come on up here.
Okay, I can't hear what they're doing.
That's all right.
I can't either. Are you familiar with these type of locks?
We're talking about the door locks.
Oh, the newer ones?
Never heard
The
of any
ones,
of them.
yeah, the install ones.
The newer ones will be self-locking, where when the teacher goes in the room, shuts the door, it automatically locks.
They're not now.
No, they are not.
And one of the recommendations from, the Commission on Safety at the state level is to have those kind of locks.
Okay.
Yes.
And these will be all too, the master that goes all but each individual door still has its separate.
Right, it's also going to reduce the number of keys that we have, which will eliminate loss of keys.
Right.
Makes everything a little bit safer. And then if you do lose a key, it makes it easier to change out the locks and everything, instead of having to change out the whole
Mechanism, you can just
Right.
change the actual locking.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Gold Door as the accepted offer on the locks. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item 6.8 are charging carts. So one of the things that we'd like to do is we'd like to move away in, I believe it's this building. Yeah, it was this building to giving the devices, the Chromebooks, to kids to take home with them. We'd like to put those in charging carts instead. We're spending a lot of money and a lot of time replacing and fixing Chromebooks that get broken. In fact, I've got one tech who almost does nothing but fix Chromebooks. So we need to address that situation. And so you have three quotes there from various vendors regarding the charging carts. We're recommending that we go with the most economical version of that. That's the data center warehouse. The data center warehouse can get them to us for $1,745 a piece. The others run up to $1,900 each. So when you're buying 26, 27 of those, it makes a difference. So we would recommend the data center warehouse as the organization with which to purchase the charging carts.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this data warehouse as the bid on these Chromebook charging stations. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, this is the last item on our action agenda. This is a parking lot patching. We've talked about this for a while. Craig has really put a lot of time and energy into making sure that we are not going beyond what we need, but yet just do what we need to on our parking lots. So you've got two quotes there from Michelle's Excavating and Suggs Asphalt. We would recommend the approval of Michelle's Excavating to do the work. Now you will notice that quote is underneath what I'm allowed to do as superintendent. But I'm bringing this to you for two reasons. One, I'd like to have it on record that we have looked at it and the board does approve. Two, I am going to ask, you may have realized we've got more weather supposed to come in this week. And when we get more ice, more snow, it's going to eat into that asphalt even more. And so it would not surprise me that when they come in and do this, we'd like to do this over spring break, that when we come in and do this, they may come back and say, you know what, it's going to be a little bit more because we looked at it before that last weather event. So I am going to ask the board for approval to go up to $30,000. That would be a slightly less than double what the request is, and that would be over the $25,000 limit that I have. Now, my intention is not to spend that,
Right.
but I want to be prepared without having to come back to the board to ask for an extension on that.
Sounds good, Mike.
Even at that, it's still less than the other bid, so
Right.
I'll second.
You got the first.
Gary, yeah, I got Gary.
We had a motion and a second to approve the parking lot patching from Michelle's Asphalt up to $30,000. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, I don't think we have anybody here for public comments. I'm gonna take this opportunity in my own comments to kind of share a couple of things, and this is a nice place to talk about this. One of the Senate bills that's working its way through the legislature that I do think will pass is the Senate Bill 90. Senate Bill 90 is going to require public comments at our board meetings prior to the board doing any business. So what that means is starting in July, if this were to pass, that our public comments section will need to go prior to the first action item that the board would take action at. Not a huge deal for us. Bigger deal for some districts across the state. Not all districts across the state have a public comments section on their agenda. Most of them, if they do have it, it is at the end of the agenda. If this passes, then it will move that up to the top of the agenda, and that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Something that has been passed that I think is good for us to just know. It's Act 53. Act 53 enables teachers. So let's talk about where we're at right now. Right now, with the passage of LEARN, the board, the superintendent extends a contract to teachers. Teachers would sign that, and then in our policy, they have 30 days to return that to us. Once they return it to us, then currently, there would not be a mechanism, I say currently, before the passage of this bill, actually, because currently there is, but before the passage of this bill, there was not a structure for a teacher to say, we're moving, or I've got a job at Corning, I want to go over there. it was up to the superintendent to release that teacher from that contract. Now, as of the signing of this bill, so it was signed last week, as of the signing of this bill, Act 53 enables teachers to exit a contract on or before May 15th with written notification to the superintendent.
Anytime before?
Anytime before May 15th.
Wow.
So May 14th, a teacher who signed a contract can just say, I don't want to teach here anymore, I'm going to go somewhere else, or whatever. As long as they submit that in writing, then.
So no different than a job for me or whatever.
Right. Right. So that is, we've talked about getting contracts out earlier so we can start the hiring process earlier. We can still do that. But if a teacher decides on May 14th that they want to do something different, they turn in that written notification and we're right back to looking for a teacher again. So.
But all districts would have been the same.
That's right, and that was one of the things that we as superintendents talked about, is at least there's a date. Everybody knows what that date is. Everybody's going to be in the same boat, and if we're looking for teachers, we're all looking for teachers about that time.
So I'm confused, I guess. Throughout the school year that they're locked in, they can't turn in a notice by writing.
Correct. Okay. Well, I mean.
So they're still locked into the contract that they do for the next year, but.
So let's say we get contracts out in April, okay? And let's say a teacher signs that contract and turns it back in, okay?
But then they change their mind.
If they change their mind,
Okay,
then.
I thought you meant that a contract that the teacher is teaching like this school year, they can resign within.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, it's for the next calendar
Okay, that's a
year.
lot different,
Yeah, it's for the next calendar year.
I thought you could basically have a teacher quit at any time as long as they give you a written notice.
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So those are just a couple of things. There's several other things that I'm watching to see what happens, but those were a couple that I just wanted to kind of highlight.
What about the phone?
The phone is working its way through. It's in the Senate now. It's been passed by the House. I assume the Senate's going to vote on it. I don't think the Senate's in session. I know they're not in session on Wednesday. They've already called and said they're not going to be in session on Wednesday. They may be in session tomorrow. So I expect the cell phone bill to be passed in the next week, certainly. The other thing I'm watching, and I'm cautiously optimistic, but we'll see. I think it's worth noting, as we are working with PPC to look at our salary schedule, and we have talked in this with the board, and the board has shared with me your desire to ensure that teachers get more money, and that's something that we are working on. As I look at the landscape, I'm a little concerned of what's going on at the federal level with the Department of Education, and let me tell you why. We get over $1 million from the feds, not counting special ed. That's Title I. We're talking about Title I, Title II, which is PD money. Title I is poverty money. Title III is ESOL, ELL. There's also migrant as a part of that. There is also Title IV and Title V, which are sort of miscellaneous funds. When you put all that together, it's over $1 million. We have roughly, I believe it's 13 or 15 positions that are paid for underneath Title I. Okay, if Title I goes away, that's $340,000 worth of positions that I'll have to make some decisions around. So I say all that to say, as we're thinking about and as we're walking through over the next month or so, what does the salary schedule look like, and where can we put money? There is a possibility, as this federal stuff unravels or unrolls, that we could also be looking at how do we absorb half of it. It's really when it's all in, it's It's about $430,000 worth of classified positions and certified, because there's a couple of certified positions in there in that federal money. So
If that were to happen, when would that money cease to exist?
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing, and this
We
is
could give raises and then that's like, oh, well, we're not gonna give you that $1 million
well.
next year,
I mean,
you know?
the only thing I have to look at is I have to look at because there's two departments that have gone already, right? USAID and the other one, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? The Department of Ed is supposed to be number 3 on that list. And so when I look at, for example, USAID, what they said was, we're not spending any more money. You're done, right? Just cut it off. So that's a possibility. I have read some things that said that the money, when you start talking about Title I, SPED, some of those monies, they predated the Department of Education. I think those were started underneath Carter, and the Department of Ed started in April '80, if I remember right. So those monies predated the Department of Ed. So it could be that those monies remain and they just go to different departments, like the Health and Human Services or Department of Agriculture or something like that.
So the department is deteriorated, but the individual components just maybe pushed off on a different.
Could be, right? Perkins and SPED. I mean, those are pretty popular programs when you look at who has voted for those over the years, both Republican and Democrat. So, you know, they may weather the storm, but it's just something I'm bringing to your attention because it's something I'm watching. There is a level of concern there at some point. So, any questions, concerns? We would need an executive session to discuss some employment and real estate.
So now the board's going to go into an executive session on the subjects of employment and real estate.
Did that go? It looks like it went. Okay.
Back in open session for Pocahontas School District meeting.
It is 7:22. Let me put that on here. 7:22. Okay, so if you're looking at your agenda, we've got the student transfers. There are 4 student transfers there on the agenda, just to give you the information. It's not something we need to vote on, but it is just something I like to bring to the board so that you are aware of those transfers as we've allowed them to happen either in or out of the district. Item 10.2 is our personnel agenda, and so I am recommending that the board accept the retirements of Melba Henderson at the high school ALE, Lisa Fears, first grade at the elementary school, Sandra Lotharp, third grade at the elementary school, Donna Ramirez as a para, Sandra Bryant as a junior high nurse, Wanda Bennett as a paraprofessional at the elementary school. We also have 3 additional resignations. Alex Hopkins from her paraprofessional position, Lee Miller from the junior high custodial position. Lee will continue to drive a bus for us next year. Mr. Eddington as the tennis coach, he will continue in his, or like for him to continue his role as administrator. And then we do have 1 new hire. We would like to make that immediately. The name is Rebecca Matthews, to serve as a paraprofessional at MD Williams. So we would recommend or look for a motion to approve those recommendations, retirements, and resignations.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve these retirements, resignations, and new hires. Everybody in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
If there's no other business for the board, we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
In favor say yes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.